In this video, I randomized every single Pokemon I find in Omega Ruby. That's right, not only is every wild encounter randomized, but every trainer and every gym leader's team has been shuffled as well. Not only that, but I'm also playing with Hardcore Nuzlocke rules, which means if a Pokemon faints, it's gone forever. Will I be able to beat Champion Steven, or will I get swept by Youngster Joey and his team of Arceus? Let's find out as we hop out of the moving van and meet Professor Birch. He's about to be eaten by Wild Poochyena, so we grab a starter out of his briefcase to rescue him. Our options aren't very good, with a ginormous field just begging to be chosen, but of course I go with the amazing Gible as our starter. Not only will Dragon Rage help us tremendously in the early game, but once he's a Garchomp, his insane attack stat will help us a lot in the late game too. Sorry Bellsprout, I feel like I always get you as a starter choice. We take out the Zigzagoon and officially start our Pokemon journey. Gible's ability randomized to Quick Feet, which can be useful, but let's be honest, it's pretty much useless. After taking out Maze Bellsprout, we can pick up some encounters. On Route 101, I catch a Wynaut with Dry Skin. Since movesets aren't randomized, she will be a great addition to the team with her access to Counter and Mirror Coat. On Route 103, I catch a Riolu with Trace. Under normal circumstances, Trace is pretty useless because you know exactly what ability your opponent could have. However, in a randomizer, any Pokemon could have any ability, so all game knowledge is thrown out the window, meaning any piece of information is incredibly valuable. On Route 102, I catch an Azurill with Sandveil, which will boost our evasion in sandstorms. It can be useful in the right circumstance, but I won't be relying on it. On Route 104, I catch a Bidoof with Cheek Pouch. Not a bad ability since berries are pretty useful for Nuzlockes. Once he evolves into Bibarel, we can make more use of this ability with his high HP stat. Ooh, a Life Orb! I'll take it. In Petalburg Woods, I catch a Wooper with Trace. Another Trace user, I'm not complaining. Look at that, our team is all blue. Well, almost. I arrive at Rustboro City, but before I take on Roxanne, I grab our last two encounters. First, I head to Route 116 where I catch a Shinx with Solid Rock. That's pretty good, as this will make switching into a potential Earthquake less scary. Finally, now we have our all-blue team. Also, in Rustboro Tunnel, I catch an Incada with Gooey. Ninjask is already a pretty fast Pokemon, so Gooey is kinda useless. But it might come in handy in some sticky situations. Okay, I just need to sneak past this hiker and... Oh, come on, there's no way. Let's see what he has.
Bruh.
It's alright. Wynaut has Dry Skin and Charm, effectively shutting down the Mega Swampert. With everything done, I level up the team to challenge Roxanne. Roxanne leads with Chingling, and I lead with Wynaut. My original plan was to set up a few charms and then switch out, but Chingling is straight up trash. I switch into Gible, who takes him out with a single Dragon Rage. Bisharp comes out next, but without access to Sucker Punch and Iron Head, he doesn't stand a chance. Also, he doesn't have 40 HP yet, so that's another KO with Dragon Rage. Wartortle is next, and you guessed it, is taken out by a Dragon Rage. Dragon Rage at this point in the game is pretty overpowered, but hey, I'm not complaining. With our increased level cap, Wynaut evolves into Wobbuffet, and Shinx evolves into Luxio. Alright, let's go rescue the Devon parts from the Magma Grunt and save Pico. Shouldn't be too bad, right? Let's see what his Poochyena randomized to... Oh my god. It ends up being okay though. Like I said, Wobbuffet is way too good of a Pokemon and takes out the Primal Groudon with a Mirror Coat. Wow, an early fossil. I take it to the Devon Corporation to revive him, and Aerodactyl randomizes into an Ursaring with Hustle. He comes at level 20, so I can't use him anyway. With Pico saved, that lets us access Dewford Town, which gives us some new encounters. On Route 107, I use the Old Rod to fish up a Burmy with Scrappy. That's going to be pretty useless, so into the PC you go. In Dewford, I fish up a Weedle with Battle Armor. Battle Armor is amazing in Nuzlocke because you don't have to play around the critical hit, but then again, it's on a Weedle, so how good is it really? On Route 106, I fish up a Love Disc with Fur Coat. Talk about useless. What's the point of doubling your defense if you die to one hit anyway? And finally, in Granite Cave, we get our last encounter, a Bunnelby with Lightning Rod. Gotta love redundant abilities, huh? Rotom fan with Levitate, looking at you. While clearing through the routes, Riolu overlevels past the level cap of 16, so he's gonna stay in the box for this one. With our new team at the level cap, it's time to take on Brawly. Brawly leads with Gigalith, and I send out Gible. Gigalith tanks a Dragon Rage and retaliates with a Headbutt, but since we outspeed, Brawly's heals are futile. Gigalith goes down, and Brawly sends out Rotom Mow, who immediately confuses us. We hit ourselves in confusion, so I'm forced to switch into Wobbuffet. Rotom goes for Uproar, and we return the hit with Mirror Coat, taking out the Lawnmower. Brawly sends out Carnivine next, who hits us with a bite as we lower his attack with Charm. I switch into Beedrill, and now that his attack is halved, Carnivine's bite barely does any damage. A few Twin Needles later, and Carnivine goes down, winning us our second badge. With Brawly defeated, we can head to Slateport and pick up a few new encounters. On Route 109, I fish up a Baltoy with Compound Eyes. Claydol can be a nice defensive option, and a Compound Eyes boosted Rock Slide can help. In Slateport City, I fish up a Kricketot with Weak Armor. Weak Armor for a weak Pokemon, now that's fitting. Into the PC you go. On Route 110, I catch a Pineco with Tangled Feet. Forretress will be a solid defensive option for us later, but last I checked, I don't think this guy has any feet. On our way to Mauville, May challenges us to a battle, and I totally risk losing Riolu to a potential critical hit from her Seedot. Totally forgot that Nature Power turns into a Stab Energy Ball. That would have been embarrassing, but luckily we make it out alright. Evolve already, you idiot! We take out her Seedot, her follow-up Probopass, and her starter Weepinbell as well. After taking out May, we arrive at Mauville City, but I want to pick up some new encounters first. On Route 118, I fish up an Iron Deficient Lombre with Light Metal. Also, on Route 117, I fish up a Turtwig with Illuminate. Trash abilities all around, but Ludicolo and Torterra can have good coverage options for the future. We also take out Wally, whose Ralts randomized to a Shiftry. Yeah, that's rough, buddy. We're definitely not making it out of Petalburg with this one. I work on training the team, and in that time, Wooper evolves into Quagsire, and Riolu likes us enough to evolve into Lucario. I also take Bunnelby and Nincada out of the PC for this battle, and they evolve as well. With the team maxed out, it's time to take on Watson. Watson leads with Breloom, and I send out Gibble. I taught Gibble Aerialates with a TM, and it's an easy one-shot. Breloom sets up a Leech Seed, but you can't really sap her HP if you're dead. Watson sends out his next Pokemon, a Garchomp. This is literally the "Who are you? I'm you but stronger." I switch into Ninjask as Garchomp only sets up a Sandstorm. At his level, Garchomp's strongest move is Takedown, which lets us heal back most of the damage with Leech Life. Eventually, Garchomp goes down, and Watson sends out Vulpix. I switch into Quagsire, revealing that this Vulpix has Prankster. We get hit by a Prankster Confusion, but on the next turn, Quagsire takes him out with a Bulldoze. Watson's last Pokemon is a Pumpkaboo, but a few Leech Lights from Ninjask takes him out, winning us a third gym badge. By the way, yes, I did change Leech Life so it has a base power of 80, just like in the latest games. It balances out alright because it gives weaker bug Pokemon a strong stab option, almost like a glass cannon situation. Time for a new batch of encounters, so let's bang them out. On Route 111, I smash these rocks and find a Squirtle with Sandstream. That residual damage from the Sandstorm is gonna suck, so I'm definitely not using you. On Route 112, I catch a Natu with Pure Power. Pure Power is awesome, but you're a Natu. Not too fond of using you, what can I say? On Fiery Path, I catch an Aeron with Drought. I guess he can technically learn Solar Beam, but nope, you're going in the PC. Wait, an Azulf with Fury Cutter? That's odd. Let's see who's really under that mask. Old Man Gligar? On Route 113, I get one of our starter options, a Bellsprout with Flash Fire. Now that's not bad. That just outright removes one of his weaknesses, so I'm not complaining. On Route 114, I catch a Clauncher with Sandforce. I've never used Clawitzer in battle, but Sandforce is literally useless. In Meteor Falls, I catch an Exploud with Water Veil. That's an interesting encounter. I could definitely use the stats at this point of the game. With all this XP, Gibble finally reaches level 24 and evolves into Gabite. Ooh, a double battle with May. Okay, I think the Aggron's gonna target me with a Rock-type move, so I'm switching into Lucario, okay May? What did I just say? Ugh, never mind. Anyway, we climb up Mount Chimney to stop Team Magma. First we take out Tabitha, who only has a Matang and Skiploom, so that was pretty easy. Ugh, you really. Okay buddy, go get a drink of water, and we can talk once you've calmed down. For now, I'll take on Maxie, who leads with a Mega Garchomp. Okay, this is the real "Who are you? I'm you but stronger." I immediately switch out into Wobbuffet, as Garchomp only sets up a Sandstorm. He goes for a takedown, but we fire back with a counter, taking him out. Wobbuffet really is the MVP for any Pokemon that I can't handle. Luxray comes out next, so I switch into Gabite. A single Bulldoze isn't quite strong enough to take him out, and he retaliates with a Roar, dragging out Ninjask. I guess that Solid Rock is really coming into play now. A single slash later, and Luxray goes down. Maxie sends out his next Pokemon, who gets randomized to a Jigglypuff. He tries to set up a rollout sweep, but a few slashes takes him out too. Last is Maxie's Abomasnow, but a single leash life takes him out, which wins us the battle.
So, you repulsed the great Maxie in battle.
What you mean, great Maxie? What are you, a skeleton brother? We have one last encounter in Jagged Pass, where I catch a Cubone with Delta Stream. This will definitely help with our ice weakness, so I'm not complaining. Oh, you've gotten Unpheasant, huh? Let's see what ability you have. Parental Bond? Where's your Pidove at? With our experience from clearing out the fiery volcano at Mount Chimney, it's finally time to take on the fiery gym leader herself, Flannery. Flannery leads with Snubble, and I send out Ninjask. We fire off a powerful slash, but Snubble uses Roar, dragging out Grottle. A follow-up Razor Leaf takes her out, which brings out her Chingling. It's a pretty underwhelming fight so far, as Grottle one-shots her with a bite. Flannery then sends out Terrakion, and after firing off a strong Razor Leaf, Grottle promptly falls asleep from Chingling's yawn. I switch into Lucario, who tanks a takedown, but I didn't realize that Terrakion actually has decent speed, and we nearly lose our Lucario to a double kick. A power-up punch is enough to take him out, but Flannery sends out her final Pokemon, a Kyogre. And of course, when we're facing a super powerful legendary, we go into our Dry-Skin Wobbuffet to take him out. That's badge number 4. With Flannery defeated, we immediately head over to Petalburg to challenge Norman. I wonder if he'll go easy on us, since he's our dad and all. I lead with Lucario, and Norman sends out the God of Time himself, Dialga. We set up a power-up punch, but Dialga retaliates with the Metal Burst. That was scary, but we take him out with the Bone Rush on the next turn. Raichu comes out next, and knowing that we will definitely get outsped, I switch into Gabite to absorb the electric attack. A single Bulldoze later, and Raichu goes down. Spinda comes out next, who manages to tank a Dual Chop and put us asleep with Hypnosis. I switch into Ninjask, and we take out Spinda with a few Leech Lives. Norman sends out his final Pokemon, a Mesprit. A few Leech Lives later, and Mesprit goes down too, winning us the battle. That's badge number 5. This now gives us access to Surf, which opens up many new encounters. But first, Steven stops us and flies us to Southern Island. Wow, both the Team Magma Pokemon and Steven's Metang got randomized to potential Megas. We take them out and pick up our Mega Latios, who gets randomized to a Mega Metagross. Although Aftermath as an ability is kinda trash, he more than makes up for it with his amazing stats and type coverage. A Mega Metagross. At this point in the game, I'm definitely not complaining. I wonder who Steven will use as his ace if I just took his old one. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Further on Route 118, I catch a Sawk with Hydration. That's kinda useless, cause there's no benefit to having Sawk out in the rain. I really don't want to have to deal with wet socks. On Route 119, I catch an Ariados with Technician. Technician on Ariados, now that's a nice combination. A boosted Shadow Sneak or Pin Missile will be really strong. On Route 120, I catch a Girafarig with Desolate Land. While we don't have any moves that directly benefit from our ability, it is an immunity to water moves, so that could come in handy. I also make a pit stop to Scorch Slab to catch a Caracosta with Unburden. Caracosta is really slow, so Unburden can definitely come in handy, possibly with a Focus Sash set or a Shell Smash and White Herb strat. Mega Lucario used Power Up Punch? Okay, this could be kinda scary. Wait, his attack fell? And Bulldoze raised his speed? Okay, contrary Mega Lucario could be kinda scary, especially with close combat boosting his defenses instead of dropping them. While clearing through the gym trainers, Grottle also evolved into Torterra. That's all our encounters, so I get ready to challenge Winona. Winona leads with a Suicune, and I send out Torterra. Suicune's actually kinda fitting for Winona, even if they're not a flying type. Just that elegant flowing look. I start off by setting up a curse, but Suicune's Aurora Beam does way too much damage. I send out Wobbuffet to deal with them, as Suicune only sets up a Rain Dance. She tries to go for a Rain boosted Bubble Beam, but Wobbuffet's Dry Skin comes in clutch again. A few Mirror Coats later, Winona burns a Hyper Potion, and then after a few more Mirror Coats, Suicune finally goes down. Winona sends out Electrode next, so I switch into Quagsire as Electrode completely gives up and uses Self-Destruct. We easily tank it, and Winona sends out Volbeat. He's a little annoying, spamming Protect between each attack, but we eventually take him out with a little help from Metagross. Winona sends out Chandelure next, so I switch back into Wobbuffet to tank the Fire Blast. We have a close call with Confuse Ray and Hex, but luckily, we snap out of it and fire back with a powerful Mirror Coat, taking her out. Last up is Swellow, quite a fitting ace for her. I switch into Metagross to tank an Aerial Ace, then take her out with a few Metal Claws, winning us our 6th gym badge. Time for some new encounters. On Route 121, I catch a Medicham with Drought. Medicham can benefit from a Sun boosted Fire Punch, but it's also just a good water resist. In the Safari Zone, I catch a Honedge with Sweet Veil. Sweet Veil is basically useless, but Honedge is an awesome encounter. Its Steel and Ghost combination has so many resists, and it will be a great defensive option. Okay, check this out. This is an unavoidable trainer. My team is fully healed. I start the battle, and she leads with a Mega Rayquaza. I decide to go for a stab super effective dual chop, but Rayquaza outspeeds and goes for an Ancient Power, and gets an Omni Boost on the first turn. A +1 stab air slash does a lot of damage, and takes out our starter. There wasn't really much that I could do here. Mega Rayquaza's stats are already insane, and a 10% Omni Boost on top of all that is even more ridiculous. Rest in peace, Blue. I send out Metagross next and use a Stab Zen Headbutt, but with the increased defenses, Rayquaza survives and retaliates with a super effective Crunch. A held Oranberry gives him a little more HP, and on the next turn, I go for a desperate Bullet Punch, knowing that another Crunch will easily take us out. But Rayquaza only goes for another Ancient Power. On the next turn, Bullet Punch leaves him with 1 HP, and Rayquaza heals back all his HP with Rest. I didn't even know that Rest was a part of Rayquaza's Learn set, but apparently it is. I stay in and spam Zen Headbutt, but we're doing less and less damage. Eventually, Rayquaza wakes up and takes out our supercomputer. Hey look, we actually got to use our Aftermath ability. That was really unfortunate since we didn't have anyone who could handle Mega Rayquaza, especially after that Omni Boost. I switch into Wobbuffet and go for a counter, expecting Crunch to do lots of damage, but Rayquaza randomly goes for an Air Slash instead. On the next turn, Rayquaza uses Rest again, healing back up to full. I stay in, praying that Rayquaza continues going for special moves, which pays off as he uses an Ancient Power. Mirror Coat returns a huge amount of damage, but Rayquaza lives with a little bit of HP. I don't have many options at this point, so I switch into Lucario as Rayquaza heals up again with Rest. I use this opportunity to set up a few Sword Stances, getting to +4 before Rayquaza wakes up and starts using random moves. Luckily, he never clicks Air Slash, which lets us lower his HP back to the red with quick attacks. He even gets another Omni Boost from an Ancient Power, but we're able to take him out before he can heal back up. Okay, we just avoided a total massacre. If Rayquaza was able to get off another Rest, he would have swept our entire team, ending our run right here. Can you imagine? A Mega Rayquaza with a +2 in all its stats? I'm just lucky to be alive. We arrive at Lily Cove City, and unfortunately, we get challenged by our rival May. Our Wobbuffet is dealing with her Hariyama nicely, and so far, she's only been spamming Seismic Toss, which does a fixed amount of damage. I try to switch into Lucario to set up a power-up punch on the turn Hariyama goes down, but on the exact turn I switch in, May randomly decides to use Vital Throw, taking out our Lucario. I really can't believe I mess up like that, especially on an optional battle. I clean up the rest of our team with ease, but man it sucks to lose Lucario, especially after losing 2 other amazing team members. At least losing to a Mega Rayquaza is understandable, but a Hariyama? Seriously? With our 3 best members gone, it's time to get some new team members. It's gonna be a catching spree, so get ready. In Lily Cove City, I fish up a Basculin with Motor Drive. Although Motor Drive completely negates one of his weaknesses, Basculin is practically useless without access to adaptability. On Route 122, I catch a Swanna with Kenai. I was a little confused at first, cause Kenai is straight up one of Swanna's base abilities, but I guess anything's possible in a randomizer. In Mount Pyre, I catch a Solosis with Technician. Technician is really useless on Solosis, but Reuniclus is a really good option for a bulky special attacker. Oh, another mandatory trainer. Wait, stop. This trainer is not mandatory. You see this row of empty tiles behind the tombstones? This trainer is skippable.
You stupid.
Well, now that we're here, let's see what Pokemon she has. Ugh, it's not too bad though. I evolved Honedge and Luxio and add them to the team, and our new team is enough to take the Titan down. We reach the top of Mount Pyre to grab the blue orb, and also find the luckiest Magma Grunt here. His Mightyena or something got randomized to his team's signature Pokemon, a Mega Camerupt. Someone's definitely getting a promotion soon. Yeah, too bad he is not surviving a Surf though. In Magma Hideout, the hidden Electrode gets randomized to a Staraptor with Levitate. Staraptor is an awesome find, but the useless ability is really disappointing. Oh, look, a Lucario Knight. Oh, wait. I clear through the rest of Magma Hideout, including the Horde battle with the Mega Mewtwo Y. They're no match for an Earthquake from Torterra though. In that time, Team Magma escapes with their Camerupt sub, and there's nothing we can do at this point except continue on with our journey. On Route 124, I catch a Foongus with Magic Bounce. Okay, now we're talking. Magic Bounce is so overpowered, especially on a tank like a Moongus. That essentially means any stat lowering move like Screech or Tail Whip will get reflected back at the user, making it much harder to drop our defenses. In Moss Deep City, I catch a Mawile with Sweet Veil, another steel type with great resistances stuck with the useless ability of Sweet Veil. On Route 125, I catch a Bulbasaur with Aerolate. Venusaur is a really good defensive option, even if Aerolate is kinda useless. Still, we'll get a 30% boost on our now flying type Double Edges, so it's not all bad. In Shoal Cave, I catch a Muck with Reckless. Muck is a nice defensive option too, but Reckless is completely useless. With all our encounters done, it's time to take on Tate and Liza. It's a double battle, so I lead with Ninjask and Torterra. This is a good opportunity to use Earthquake, since Ninjask is unaffected due to his flying type. But Tate and Liza's Pokemon get randomized to 2 water types, so of course I go for a Razor Leaf instead. We get a crit on Floatzel, which takes him out. Azumarill commits to the water team, going for a Rain Dance to boost their water type attacks. But the next Pokemon they send out is a Furret, who last I checked isn't a water type. A few turns later, and both their Pokemon go down, winning us a pretty easy 7th gym badge. As we leave the gym, a huge beam of light shoots out of the ocean, meaning it's time for more story. I travel through the routes to Sootopolis, where we can pick up a few more encounters. On Route 127, I catch a Zangoose with Unnerve. In my Nuzlocke settings, many trainers' Pokemon will have consumable items to make the battles a little more difficult. Unnerve will help prevent them from eating berries, so while it may seem useless, it could be more useful than it looks. On Route 128, I catch an Eevee with Pure Power. Okay, now we're talking. If we get our hands on a Firestone, a Pure Power Flareon will do so much damage as we approach the endgame. On Route 129, I catch a Beheeyem with Oblivious. Beheeyem is definitely an overlooked Pokemon, and one day I'd love to try a playthrough with all the underappreciated Pokemon from Unova. Oblivious is kinda useless though. Further into the route in Seafloor Cavern, I catch a Rotom Wash with Illuminate. Another amazing Pokemon, Curse with Illuminate. Rotom Wash has really amazing potential with access to moves like Volt Switch and Hydro Pump. If we need another water type, I'm definitely adding him. Some bad news. While clearing through Seafloor Cavern, a trainer's Hydreigon sets up a workup and takes out our newly acquired Aegislash. A pseudo-legendary setting up? Yeah, that's scary. Sweet Veil wasn't doing anything for us, but still, it sucks to lose a team member. With one team member down, we continue through Seafloor Cavern and challenge Maxie. He leads with Vanillix, and I send out Quagsire. Vanillix outspeeds and lands a critical hit Ice Beam, so after a Rock Smash, I'm forced to switch into Wobbuffet. Vanillix actually goes for a Taunt, and I thought for a second that maybe Mirror Coat would be blocked, but luckily it counts as a damaging move. One Mirror Coat later, and the Ice Cream goes down. Maxie sends out Shedinja next, so I switch into Torterra to take him out with a Crunch. Shedinja is always randomized to have Wonder Guard, so that was never a concern. Maxie then sends out Yveltal, who outspeeds and deals a huge amount of damage with Oblivion Wing. In return, we miss our Rock Slide, so I'm forced to switch into Luxray to tank the attack. On the next turn, we go for a Thunderfang, which nearly takes out the Yveltal, but his Pickpocket ability activates and steals our Magnet. On the following turn, he outspeeds and disables our Thunderfang, which leaves us immobilized for the turn. Regardless, we take him out on the next turn with the Strength, and Maxie sends out his Typhlosion. Our team has a huge Fire-type weakness, but Wobbuffet comes in and saves the day again. Typhlosion only goes for Swift, so we're able to return the damage with Mirror Coat. Eventually, Typhlosion starts setting up defense curls, so we trap him in with Encore and switch to Ninjask to set up Sword Stance. We take him out with a few Aerial Aces, which brings out Maxie's final Pokemon, his Mawile. Looks like this is what his Mega Camerupt randomized into, as he Mega Evolves into Mega Mawile. At our +2 attack, Ninjask deals about half with an Aerial Ace, as Mawile only sets up a stockpile. On the next turn, Mawile goes for a Sucker Punch, but without the huge power, she doesn't deal as much damage. Another Aerial Ace brings her down to the red, and at this point, things are looking a little dire for us. I don't know what move Mawile will use, and I prefer to play without checking the learn set for each battle, so we're kinda in the dark here. All our team is in the yellow, so switching will be dangerous because I don't know if Mawile has her usual Iron Head or Play Rough. On the last turn, Sucker Punch did 38 damage, but I don't know if that was a low roll or a high roll. In the end, I decide to stay in, and Mawile goes for a Sucker Punch, which gets a high roll and takes out her Ninjask. I thought I made the best play here, but clearly it wasn't. Looking at Mawile's moveset, she doesn't even get access to Iron Head or Play Rough until a few levels later. And, to rub salt in the wound, after switching in Torterra, a Sucker Punch barely does any damage as we take her out with an Earthquake. And for some extra salt in the wound, if Aegislash was still alive, his Ghost typing would have completely walled the Mawile's moves as long as we don't use an attacking move for Sucker Punch to hit us. Rest well, Ninjask. Your leech lives carried us hard in the early and mid game. Although we defeat Maxi, he still manages to awake the Groudon, causing a severe drought as he heads towards Sootopolis. It's our job to stop him, so we start heading over. Steven gives us a little pep talk before we go, and oh my god, look at his goofy fly animation. We reach Sootopolis in one piece, but I need to mention something. Our team is really close to the level cap. There's a little bit of story left before we can take on the last gym, and I really can't risk anyone over leveling. The solution? Time to bring out the B team. I add 6 new members to the team for this part of the story, that being Rotom Wash with Illuminate, Eevee with Pure Power, Amoonguss with Magic Bounce, Ariados with Technician, Medicham with Drought, and Swanna with Keeneye. Let's train up the team and get some new encounters. On Route 126, I catch a Mienfoo with Stench. Once he evolves, Mienshao can act as a fast physical attacker. Stench can come in handy too, as the 10% flinch is always appreciated. In Sootopolis City, I catch a Pichu with Motor Drive. A Raichu will be nice, but Motor Drive is basically useless on this Pokemon. I also evolve Eevee into Flareon using a Firestone, completing our B team. With everything done, we enter the Cave of Origin to calm the rampaging Groudon. On our way in, I also catch a Cranidos with Tough Claws. This is a good encounter. Rampardos already has a monstrous attack stat, and a Tough Claws boost on all her moves will be insane. Almost every move she can learn is boosted by Tough Claws too. For example, no one with Tough Claws can learn Head Smash, but it's coded in the game to be boosted by the ability. Deep into the Cave of Origin, I put on the Magma Suit and get ready to take on the rampaging Groudon. We jump on his back and travel deeper into the cavern, where energy gathers around Groudon as he begins to Primal Revert. We initiate the battle, and he randomizes into a permanent Mega Tyranitar. I guess that's fitting, they sort of look alike. We weaken him a little, but as a Mega Tyranitar, his attacks are way too strong. Definitely don't regret Master Balling this one. With Groudon calmed, the world returns to normal as the last gym opens up. To honor our B team, I bring 3 members from each to the fight. Rotom Wash, Amoonguss, and Flareon join the team, along with Quagsire, Luxray, and Torterra. With everyone at the level cap, it's time to take on Wallace. Wallace leads with Snowy Castform, and I lead with Rotom. We set up a light screen as Castform misses a Blizzard. On the next turn, I go for a Volt Switch, but Castform's Motor Drive blocks it. A follow-up Blizzard barely does any damage, and on the next turn, I Hard Switch into Flareon to tank another Blizzard. Castform actually goes for a Hydro Pump, but when our Pure Power Eevee evolved, his ability randomized for each evolution and changed to Storm Drain for Flareon. We absorb the Hydro Pump and take out the Castform with a Flare Blitz. Wallace sends out Primeape next, so I switch into Amoonguss to resist the Fighting type attack. On the next turn, Primeape goes for Swagger, which gets reflected by our Magic Bounce. We use Toxic, which now puts him on a timer. On the following turn, Primeape hits himself in confusion, and we connect with the boosted Venoshock, taking him out. Wallace sends out Beheeyem, and not wanting to get hit by a powerful Psychic type attack, I switch into Luxray. Beheeyem ends up going for Psychic, which does a little over half. I figure we may be able to outspeed and take him out with a Crunch, but it leaves him with a Sliver. Beheeyem then completely throws the game, going for a Psych Up and copying our +0 stat changes. This Beheeyem actually has color change, so Psych Up changes his type to normal. With the new type change, Crunch doesn't do as much damage, so I switch to Thunderfang to take him out. Wallace sends out Leavanny next, so I switch into Amoonguss to take him out with our Venoshock strats again. Leavanny only wastes time setting up Swords Dance, so we were never in any real danger. Wallace sends out Venomoth next, who's actually got a pretty interesting strategy with Trace. His Leavanny used Entrainment on us, giving us his Terravolt ability, and Venomoth's Trace took it right back. Too bad it's useless, since a Rock Slide from Torterra takes him out in one shot. Wallace sends out his final Pokemon, his Raichu, who of course is completely walled by our Quagsire. A single Earthquake later, and Quagsire goes down, winning us the 8th and final gym badge. With all gym badges collected, it's time to head through Victory Road and make it to the Pokemon League. We have a close call with the Leavanny, who brought our Flareon to 1 HP, but of course, we're never punished for our careless plays. At the end of Victory Road, we get ready to take on Wally, and wow, this game is beautiful. Personally, little moments like these really make ORAS one of my favorite remakes. There was no need for the design team to go this hard on the final section of Victory Road, but they did, and it definitely paid off. Really makes me want to start a new Minecraft world and recreate this section as my base. We've got one last fight with Wally, but it's a pretty easy one. I lead with Mega Tyranitar and set up power-up punches on his Ninetales. Then, one by one, all of his Pokemon fall to a Rock Slide. Even his Mega Gallade, who got randomized to a Mega Aerodactyl, goes down without a fight. Really appreciating this beast of a Pokemon right now. Finally, we reach the Pokemon League. After sorting through my team members, I settle on this as our final team. Tails the Flareon with Storm Drain, Crewmate the Amoonguss with Magic Bounce, Leo the Luxray with Solid Rock, Dubs the Wobbuffet with Dry Skin, Quago the Quagsire with Trace, and of course, Gojira the Permanent Mega Tyranitar with Clear Body. Let's get ready and take on the Elite Four. First up is Sydney. He leads with Politoed and I send out Tails. Remember, we have Storm Drain, so we're totally safe to stay in. I need to rely on Dig to hit Politoed, but he just perfectly has Bounce to avoid our Dig. I send out Gojira to resist the bounce, and then take him out with a Crunch. Sydney sends out Mega Camerupt, but a single Earthquake is enough to take him out. Sydney's next Pokemon is Corsola, so I stay in and take her out with an Earthquake. Oh yeah, since Gojira is a permanent Mega, that means I can give him items like a Quick Claw. Sydney sends out Parasect next, and another Quick Claw Rock Slide takes him out. Luminion comes in next, but actually outspeeds and wastes the opportunity by setting up an Aqua Ring. A critical hit Crunch takes her out, which leaves Sydney's last Pokemon, his Hitmonlee. I was afraid of Hitmonlee outspeeding and taking us out with a high jump kick, so I switch into Crewmate to absorb the attack. Instead, Hitmonlee goes for Blaze Kick, but luckily it misses. Since he revealed Blaze Kick, I switch into Quago and seal his Download, which boosts our attack. A few boosted waterfalls later, and Hitmonlee goes down, winning us our first battle. Next up is Phoebe. She leads with Cinccino, and I lead again with Tails. Since it's only a Cinccino, I use this opportunity to switch into Gojira to set up power-up punches. We then take out every single Pokemon on our team with Rock Slide and Crunch. There's not much to say here, Gojira is just an absolute beast. And with that, we got a pretty easy second Elite Four battle. Glacia's up third. She leads with Clefable, and I send out Tails. Since I don't have many good options for the tanky Clefable, I switch into Crewmate as Clefable sets up a Minimize. This can be a little scary, but starting in this generation, if Toxic is used by a Poison-type Pokemon, it bypasses all accuracy checks. Clefable's able to get off a Metronome first, which manages to pull Lava Plume. Regardless, we connect with the Toxic and take Clefable out with the Venoshock on the next turn. She tries to use Sing, but again, our Magic Bounce is way too strong. Glacia sends out Sawsbuck next, whose Imposter turns into our Crewmate. I swear, you can't make this stuff up. I switch into Tails, who takes out the Imposter with the Flare Blitz. Glacia sends out Audino, so I switch into Gojira to tank her Double Edge. We start setting up power-up punches, but Audino uses Simple Beam, changing our ability to Simple. Now, all our power-up punches are giving us +2 to our attack, essentially acting as a free Sword Stance. Her follow-up Manectric goes down to an Earthquake, and her Talonflame goes down to a Rock Slide. Finally, Glacia sends out her last Pokemon, a Cinccino. She manages to outspeed and puts us asleep with a Sing. To save time, I switch into Leo to take her out with a few Thunderfangs, winning us a third Elite Four battle. Last is Drake, the final Elite Four member. He leads with Yveltal, and I lead with Tails again. As usual, I immediately switch into Gojira to tank his attacks as we retaliate with the Rock Slide, one-shotting the Bird of Death. Gyarados comes out next, so I immediately switch into Crewmate to tank the Water move. Gyarados starts setting up Dragon Dance as we poison him with Toxic. On the next turn, a +1 Crunch does a lot of damage, especially with the crit. We fire back with the Venoshock, taking out a chunk of his HP as well. Expecting another Crunch, I switch back into Gojira, expecting to stall out the Toxic, which works as we tank the attack. But Gyarados randomly has an Apricot Berry, boosting his special defense, which activates his Cheek Pouch, restoring his HP back to half. Now I'm expecting a Hydro Pump, so I switch into Tails to use his Storm Drain. It works again, but now Drake heals with a full restore. This Gyarados is starting to get a little scary, especially after the Dragon Dance, so I switch into Leo to take him out with the 4x super effective Thunderfang. Gyarados actually tries to set up 2 more Dragon Dances, and his greed lets us get off a safe Thunderfang, taking out the Leviathan. Drake sends out Crocodile next, and although I would be pretty safe because of our Solid Rock ability, I still switch into Quago. Crocodile goes for a dig, so I stay in and wait for him to resurface before taking him out with the Waterfall. Drake sends out his Quagsire, so I switch into Crewmate as Quagsire only sets up a Rain Dance. A single Giga Drain easily takes out the Imposter, which brings out his Salamence. Quite a fitting team member for him, I must say. Salamence outspeeds and uses Will-O-Wisp, but our Magic Bounce blocks it and reflects the attack back at him, which he's immune to? We land our Toxic, but I was extremely confused at this point. Does he have Water Veil or some kind of ability that would prevent him from getting burned? I was unsure of what was going on, so I switched into Dubs, who's basically been our go-to answer for anything unknown. Salamence goes for a Psychic, and now it all makes sense. It must be a Pokemon with illusion, disguising itself as Salamence. That would explain why he had access to Will-O-Wisp and why it didn't affect him when it was bounced back, because fire types are immune to it. And sure enough, we use Mirror Coat to reflect the flamethrower back at the Salamence, revealing him to be a Delphox in disguise. Drake then sends out his final Pokemon, his real Salamence. He goes for a fly, but one counter later, and Salamence goes down, winning us the final Elite Four battle. Finally, it's time to take on champion Steven himself. Normally, his Mega Metagross can be really scary, but since everything's randomized, I'm curious to see what his team looks like. He leads with Mismagius as we send out Tails. Finally, Tails can be useful as a lead. Mismagius outspeeds and goes for a Growl, lowering our attack, but we land a critical hit Bite and end up one-shotting her. Steven sends out Stoutland next, so I stay in and deal a huge amount of damage with Flare Blitz. Stoutland ends up using Roar, which drags out Leo. That's fine though, a single Thunderfang is enough to take him out. Steven's next Pokemon is Darmanitan, so I stay in and use Thunderfang. Darmanitan outspeeds us however and uses Superpower, but we tank it and nearly take him out with a Thunderfang. Steven uses a full restore, but a few turns later and Darmanitan goes down. This brings out his Arbok, who sets up the Heavy Wind with his Delta Stream ability. Arbok outspeeds us on the next turn and sets up a Coil, but Leo lands a critical hit Crunch, ignoring the defense boost. Arbok then wastes his turn going for a Gastro Acid, which lets us take out the Cobra with another Crunch. Steven sends out his next Pokemon, a Zapdos. I send out Quago expecting an electric move, but Zapdos only uses Charge and then sets up the Rain with Rain Dance. This boosts our Waterfall now, and combined with the Sheer Force that we stole with our Trace ability, it nearly takes the Big Bird out. Steven uses another full restore, but a few turns later, and Zapdos goes down. Okay, now it's time. Steven gets ready to send out his ace, his random Mega Pokemon. Maybe it's a Mega Mewtwo, or a Mega Rayquaza. I'm already having flashbacks to the massacre at Route 121. Steven sends out his ace, a Manectric. Well, this is definitely anticlimactic. He Mega Evolves into Mega Manectric, but he only uses Charge as our Sheer Force Rain boosted Waterfall nearly takes him out. On the next turn, he goes for another Charge, so we take him out with the Waterfall, winning us the battle and the run. And with that, we've beaten Pokémon Omega Ruby with everything randomized. By the way, the reason why that Manectric was so bad was because he literally couldn't touch us. His moves were Charge, Wild Charge, Thunder, and Roar, so the most he could have done was roar us out. Again, I don't check the docs in the middle of a battle, but regardless, a win is a win, and that's why I brought a ground type with us in the first place. I had a lot of fun in this playthrough, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Manga videos are coming up, I just wanted a little break, and also I love randomizer Nuzlocks, so I wanted to try one for a video. I'm looking into editing sprites for the silver video, so be on the lookout for that. And hey, if you've made it this far, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. Your support means a lot to me, and it helps me continue making content that you enjoy. Also, tell me what you guys would like to see for future videos, and I'll be sure to read each comment. Until next time, this has been Magnus. I'll catch you guys later.